How's everyone today? Hopefully you're enjoying the summer season we're in. I picked these pretty flowers in my garden last night and I thought I have to display them here, just have a splash of color in here. Of course I'm out here in my little shed ready to film a Q&A video. And as usual, MB got these questions together for me. I haven't even had the chance to look over them. And I almost feel like I'm going back in time because I once again have some bread going in the house. So if you hear a timer go here on my phone, I have to run and put that in the oven. Let's get right into the questions. The first ones are from about a month ago. I had done an under the deck video, ideas for, underneath the deck. And the first question here is, if I can get to them here. Jessica is asking, I love how you don't need your husband to build things. So who taught you? Dad or husband? Your knowledge of power tools and building. You are awesome. Well, thank you for that. I would say as a young girl, I used to watch Dad work. Like he'd, of course, run some power tools in the shop. I was always interested in it. Of course, I didn't run any at that age, but I was fascinated. And I know my first tool that I ever used was a handsaw. Like I'd actually build things with just a handsaw. And you can actually do that. So if you don't have any power tools and you want to build something, it's actually doable to use a handsaw. And I know I got a lot of tips from John. Like he knows his way quite well around power tools, so that's always a blessing. I'll just ask him if I'm not sure about something. And some is self-taught. I just kind of winged it sometimes. Probably not the wisest thing to do, but I probably shared this before, but I do remember our other place that we lived. This would have been maybe 15 years ago or more. The first time I actually ran it would have been like a circular saw. I had a piece of furniture. It was like a chest of drawers, like a high. It had about 6 drawers, and I needed a coffee table, so I decided to cut off a section of it and just use the top part for a coffee table. And again, I think I talked about this before because I still have that piece. I kind of hang on to it, being that it was kind of my first piece that I ever took a power tool to. But I ended up going out in the shop and running the saw, like cutting that bottom section off. And I know the neighbor lady actually came up. She knew that John wasn't at home and she just wanted to see what was going on. She couldn't understand why she was hearing a power saw go. She knew I was, by myself. And I just kind of always remember that. She probably thought I was a crazy lady, doing that. But that kind of was the start of it. I knew like if I could do that, I can do other projects too. But as always, with anything power related, you have to be careful. I'm still scared of some of the tools that I run, but I think that's a good thing. Just it makes me be more careful, I guess. And something can always happen, but so far so good, I guess. The next question here is, how will you keep it from becoming Kitty Potty? That's funny you mentioned that. I just talked to, I think it was MB the other day. We were talking about how I was telling her I never see our cats go to the bathroom. Like, thankfully, I just never find out anything. Like, I don't know, do they go in the woods? Or I think a time or two I may have seen Pebbles like up here kind of underneath the bird feeder, like in that area. I'm not worried about underneath the deck. They have tons of other spaces that I don't think they'd go in gravel if they have like dirt to go into. But thankfully, even through gardening, I don't notice anything, which is good. I always joke about it and say maybe they just don't go, like they're perfect cats and just don't ever need to go. We know that can't be true. Laura says, good morning, Mary, another wonderful video. Thank you. I have to share with you that we just returned from a week of camping in Berlin. I am sure you realize how lucky you are to live in such a beautiful part of the country. Had it not been for your videos, I don't know that I would have ever had the chance to explore the area. We went to Zink's fabric store. I don't even sew, but still love the store. I was able to buy one of your magazines finally. I could go on and on, but I won't. I do have one question though. What is it like in the winter? I would be terrified to drive on those curvy, hilly roads. Well, first of all, I'm so glad I was able to inspire you to come to the area, and I'd encourage any of you, like, we live in a really high tourist area, and it's, pros and cons with that, of course, but we do like our tourists. Like, I get it that they want to visit our pretty area. It is really pretty here, and people do always enjoy it when they come. I've just rarely heard anything negative about our area. But as far as the winter, to me, the winters aren't as pretty or nice. It's often kind of gray and damp. And if we do get snow and sometimes ice, the hills can be kind of treacherous, but I think our road workers do a really good job of keeping them clear. Like, I feel they have the equipment to do it, like they're used to Ohio winter time, and they're always ready with some salt and, their equipment that they use to, clear the roads. So It's not too bad, and of course we ended up living on a hill. You can probably tell from our property, so we really can't go anywhere without either going up a hill or down a hill right away at the end of the driveway, but I just don't venture out if it's, too bad, of course. But John is always, he thinks we for sure need four-wheel drive vehicles, so he made sure that my Tahoe has, four-wheel drive, so that really helps. Shirley is asking, the bin to put the dirt in is a great idea, but should you put plastic down, then put dirt in the bin? It may rot the board. Just asking. Yeah, I appreciate that. I thought about that too when I, set it up, but then I thought, oh, it's just gonna probably look kind of unsightly. I guess I was thinking of the looks versus the, what makes sense, but I'll just keep an eye on it. If I see that it starts to rot, I'll probably, either line it with something or just replace the boards. We always have scrap wood around here, and basically that's what I use to make the bin, so it's not a huge loss if it only lasts a few years, but I'll probably keep an eye on it. Next question here is, very pretty area. Do you have any issue with mosquitoes down there? We have some mosquitoes, but not more down underneath the deck than anywhere else, I don't think. We often sit outside in the evening, like on the top part of the deck, and we do have some mosquito issues there, but not a whole lot. It's actually not too bad to think that we have all these ponds around here, but we do, yeah, especially right now, like if it gets humid and during the summertime, we'll have some mosquitoes. And the bottom comment here is, so mice and snakes still can get into the bin. I had mentioned that I want this open bin so I don't have to reach into my potting soil bag and just wonder what's in there. And usually I'm not too squeamish about things like that, but for some reason, I don't know, did it happen sometime in the past? I just feel like I don't really like reaching into a dark potting soil bag, but with the bin, everything's in the open, like I can see before I start scooping, so I guess that makes a difference. And MB stuck this in here as a bottom. It's, yeah, past the questions. It might not be a question here, but just says, MB, please share this with Mary. Speaking from experience, we had a heavy, large crock pot outside turned upside down. I asked my husband to please turn it up for me, and it was sitting on a brick surface. There was a coiled up poisonous snake. I'm not sure how the thing got under there, but thought it was a cool, dry space. My husband was able to kill it, thank goodness. Please be aware of turning flower pots or metal pans upside down, as snakes love a cool, dry area and somehow find their way in. Your under porch turned out very nice, and a place your plants can thrive. The dirt bin was a great idea. I always hate getting into the bags too. Yeah, thanks for that thought. It's kind of interesting, but it's funny that you even mentioned that, because I always think about that too. I do turn my pots upside down because I don't want, water to collect in them, or just keeps them cleaner if I do that. And I always think about that when I turn them, the right side up. I'm like, oh, what's going to be underneath there? But I guess I'm, just aware of it as I'm, turning it the other way. And we don't have poisonous snakes in our area, thankfully, so, but any snake would be pretty creepy to find underneath the pot. The next questions are from the outdoor kitchen, which is on the top part of the deck. The first one here is, Mary, do you have a vegetable garden this year? If you do, could you do a tour? I should do one. I should even just put a clip. Maybe I'll go down and film some just today and put a clip in here as I'm talking, but I had mentioned these flowers. I have some zinnias that are blooming, and the roses are starting to, I feel like they're doing better than they were at one point. I think it just takes time sometimes to be established in a new location, but I'm really enjoying the garden this year. My aim was to just plant things that we actually use, and so far it's been really great. I've gotten a lot of cucumbers. I'll be canning some cucumbers later today. Tomatoes are nicely on the way, and the onions look good, and in the future we'll have more fruit. The strawberries didn't bear much this year. And then we also have the blueberries and the raspberries, blackberries. Really excited for that in the future. And thankfully the deer haven't done any damage since we started the garden officially. Like, it seemed right at first we had planted those blueberry plants just in the dirt, and it almost seemed like they thought it was part of the field and grazing. As soon as we added the little pathways of mulch and wood chips, they kept out of it as far as we could see. Like, they haven't bothered the roses or anything else, thankfully. And knock on wood as I say that, but hopefully they'll just stay away from the garden. We do see the deer, but they seem to leave our garden be. The next question here is regarding the little red building behind the house. I noticed the little red building in the background. Are you going to do anything with it sometime? That's on my list for this summer. I want to paint it, clean it out, and just make it really pretty and cute. It is a cute little building. It's one that John had built years ago for the boys, kind of like a clubhouse, and they used it some, but not a whole lot. I ended up storing my pots in it once they were older. It's a really handy little space to have, actually. The next question here is, what's the type of tree that's in the planter in the corner of your patio? I have a couple trees on the top part of the deck. I have burning bushes. I tend to dig those out in the spring and put them in pots just to have little trees on the deck. And then I also have a flowering hydrangea, like I think it's a pinky winky tree, and it's really pretty right now. I'll try to throw a picture on the screen for you to see, but yeah, it would either be the burning bush or the hydrangea. Sharon says, I have noticed a basketball net in your kitchen. Kind of odd. Games, but I always thought no balls in the house, lol. Yeah, I don't blame you. I have to deal with some ball bouncing in our kitchen. We have our youngest, Ephraim, is into basketball. He actually plays for the school, and he is, yeah, he kind of persuaded me to let him put up a hoop, and I'm fine with it. Sometimes I'll play with him, like we'll do a game of horse or pig, if you know what that is. And it's just for a season, I think. You know, I don't really care for the bouncing ball, but there's worse things, I guess, than that. And our house is, yeah, it's not, I don't know, can you tell in the videos or not, but it's kind of run down. It's not like it's a brand new house where I'm kind of worried about everything, you know. I guess that's the advantage of living in an older house. And the bottom comment here is, you didn't have your safety glasses on. And I feel like I'm going back in time again because I get a lot of these, but yeah, I do wear them if I think it's, you know, really important or necessary to wear them. In fact, yesterday I was in the shop most of the day. That will probably be an upcoming video, but I definitely wear them when I run the table saw. I'm kind of scared of that thing because I feel like, you know, wood could fly back at me. It doesn't. I don't think it's ever happened, but I know it's pretty important to wear them when I'm running that thing. And then sometimes, depending on what I'm cutting on the chop saw or the miter saw, I'll wear it too for sure. But one of you guys had actually sent me some safety glasses, so I really appreciate that. I'm actually wearing those, and they're really comfortable. In fact, they kind of look like these. I don't know, maybe people sometimes think I'm wearing these when I'm wearing my safety glasses, but they have the guards on the sides. The next questions are from the end tables video. I had redone some end tables that my niece had picked up. I love how everything turned out. Just curious why you didn't just spray the first project instead of using a brush. I'm trying to think why I didn't. Probably no reason really, but I was just in the mood for a brush that day. That's probably why I brushed it instead of, you know, spraying it. Oh, now that I think about it, the paint that I had used there for that project was either a milk paint or a chalk paint. It was some that my son had picked up for me, and I don't run some of that stuff through my sprayer because I want to keep my sprayer kind of clean and know what I've dealt in the past with running certain paints through there and then not being able to get it completely clean for the next use. So I'm kind of picky with what I run through there. That might have been why I brushed it, but yeah, I should have explained that probably. Edward is asking, have you ever thought of investing in a spray tent or booth? Not good for the environment. Spray just goes everywhere. Yeah, not on the outside. I never think about that because I notice when it dries in the air and then it settles as a dust on surfaces. So I'm not worried about the next rain is going to wash it away. And plus, I use water-based paint, so it's not as hazardous, or it doesn't smell, you know, bad even. It's just a water-based paint. But speaking of the spray tent or booth, makes me think of years ago I was determined one winter I used to paint kitchens for people. Like I'd take all kitchens apart, like all the doors and the drawer fronts, bring them home and paint them in our basement, guys. I mean, now I don't think I'd do that, but I actually made myself a little spray tent in the one corner of our basement. I opened a window, put a fan by the window, and then hung like sheets all around me. And then I wore a mask, you know, and I was in there spray painting. And it kind of worked. Like the fan would suck the paint, you know, out the window. And again, just water-based paint. It was basically dust by the time it was outside. But it did kind of work, but it was still a mess. I know some of the surfaces got all dusty in the basement. And I did that for a couple years, actually. Next question, where did you get the jars for the propagation stand? I should have mentioned that. I think those were the ones that I got for we had some winter or over Christmas time, we had little spa boxes. And I'd put dried, like the bath salts in those little tubes. I think that's what I used. I have to think, but yeah, that I'm pretty sure. And they were just plastic. I know I would have wanted glass jars. I might not even have mentioned that in the video, but they were the right size and they kind of look good in there. So that's why I used them. And they were just off of Amazon, those tubes. And the bottom comment here is, what a waste of well-made perfect pair. I did not care for those end tables though. I mean, I don't think they paid anything for them, so obviously other people didn't really care for them either, but to me, I think they looked a lot better once they were painted and redone, but again, I guess that's opinion. We're not all going to think alike, right? I'm always kind of puzzled. I don't mind comments like that, you know, often they land in the bottom, but I'm always kind of puzzled when I see those comments, because I'm like, how would I ever have a channel, like a YouTube channel, if I wouldn't paint anything? You know, there wouldn't be any reason to have a channel. I wouldn't be doing anything, right? The next questions are from the kitchen organization video. That was the one that my niece MB had done for me. I'm still loving my kitchen. Even now when I cook in there, I'm just like, I feel like I almost have a new kitchen with all her pretty, you know, organization, and pretty neat. The first comment here is, just amazing. I so wish we could see snippets of MB's wedding. She is so precious. She is precious. And they had a beautiful wedding. I should throw some clips in here, and I'll try to do that if I'll ask her permission, of course, but we'll see. You might see some here. Janice is asking, what do you do with overflow? I notice not everything fits in one container. Yes, I actually have, or she rather, MB put it in another cupboard, like where our refrigerator is, kind of other side of the kitchen. Underneath, there's a kind of a section or a shelf where I have most of that overflow, like bags of, you know, maybe sugar and oatmeal and flour, different things like that that didn't, you know, fit in the container. And it's really nice, just go over there and get my refill. I wasn't sure, am I going to like that? Like, is it almost like, you know, too much work to always keep filling, and is it really worth it, I guess, was my question. But I'd say it is. Like, it is worth it to have that nicely organized, and it just, I like if it looks good and it's easy to access. The next question here is, do you all not like your drawers lined with something? I've never really been into the drawer lining. I mean, I know it would probably look pretty too. Maybe if I'd start doing it, I'd, you know, like it. But to me, I think it's just so easy to clean if it's just the wood there to go over, and I don't have to worry about, you know, tearing out old paper and putting new one in. But again, I think it would look pretty. I don't know, maybe someday. Beverly is saying, my husband and I will be in your area this weekend. Where do you recommend we eat? Well, I'm pretty sure I'm too late here, but hopefully you found some good places. We do have a lot of good restaurants. If you're into the Amish style restaurants, Der Dutchman's, of course, in Walnut Creek, a lot of people know about that place. And then there's Farmstead in Berlin, and Mrs. Yoder's Kitchen is a really good place in Mount Hope. And there's probably a few others too that I'm not thinking about, but if you're into the cafe, bistro sort of places, there's Ginger House in Berlin and Old World Bistro, which is just out of Berlin. That's a really good one. We enjoy that place. And there's a Chrysalis Cafe in Walnut Creek. I've actually never been there, to think that I'm not that far from Walnut Creek, but I know a lot of people like that. And there's a lot of little cafes and bistros if you just, you know, Google it. I'd say they're all pretty good. So yeah, hopefully you found something when you were here. That's my timer. I have to go check my bread. Okay, so I'm back again, and I have to set my timer again. It's not quite ready. It needs about 5 minutes before I put it in the oven, but we're getting there. The next question here is, I'm just curious, why do you keep your meds, vitamins, first aid, etc. in the kitchen? I've heard of people doing this, but never understood why. I've got mine in the bathroom medicine cabinet. Maybe I'm the odd one out. I never thought about that. We've always just had it in the kitchen. That's where I remember best to kind of take my vitamins, and I grab the water, you know, out of the sink faucet there. And I don't know. I'd be curious, do other people have it in the kitchen, or is that a thing that we just do? I don't know. I might be the odd one here, but that's interesting. And the bottom comment here is, but how many cardboard box and plastic wrap for little of boxes? As a YouTuber, I would like you to help our planet and don't propose this kind of things. It's not a personal criticism, but please don't do that. Don't you see how the climate is now? Well, I guess we all have our opinion on that. I don't know, are you referring to how the things were packaged as they arrived from Amazon? I guess I'm not quite getting this here, but yeah, we try to be wise as far as our, we recycle, and I agree, we want to take care of the earth that God gave us. And I apologize if I'm not getting the question. I'm just not quite getting what you're referring to, but I think you're probably referring to all the cardboard boxes and the plastic wrap and stuff, but thankfully that can be recycled. MB stuck this one in here. She labeled it as, an idea. Laura says, wonderful video, Mary. With the dark inside of your cupboards, it would look so nice with the pretty paper on the back walls. I like that idea too. See, I love these ideas. I love how we can share inspiration here on YouTube, and I might actually do that. Yeah, we'll see. Probably just to get around to doing it now, but that would really brighten things up. I like that. And then this one she labeled, I would go. What a brilliant job MD did with organizing your kitchen cupboards and drawers. I love the close relationship you have with your niece. Aw. Would you both like a trip to Scotland to sort out my kitchen? She says she would go, and I'd probably go too. And this one she labeled LOL, funny. We all need an MB. I don't suppose you've got clones of her on your Etsy shop. That's funny. Yeah, you guys all need an MB. She does a lot for us, and I really appreciate her. So one more interruption here, and then we'll get into the next questions, which are the last ones. They're from the Q&A video. There's only a couple of those. I'm almost thinking I can probably finish it before I run in to check on my bread or put my bread in the oven. Trisha says, I always enjoy your videos and love to see how you reuse old items. I am replacing my old windows similar to yours and saved my screens, which were in good shape. Have you ever reused Anderson screens into a small Screenhouse sitting porch or anything like that? Hey, that's a good idea. I like that. I actually just cut up a screen yesterday for one of my projects. You're going to see then, but I always hang on to old screens too. We had replaced our basement windows, so I hang on to all those screens. Sometimes I'll use them when I want to screen some paint or just other things. It's just handy to have on hand, and it's nice to not have to go buy it like if you have it. So but yeah, I like that idea of, you could probably put, the screens wouldn't be really large, but you could put it kind of in sections maybe and create a little screened in outdoor feature to sit in, and that sounds really neat. Janice says, I love your shed and hydrangeas. Well, thank you. Why did you fork the bread? I get questions about it when I do that. I do that Mom used to do that for air bubbles. So if there's any air bubbles in there, it kind of releases them. And honestly, once the bread is baked, you barely see the fork marks. I mean, sometimes you do, but that doesn't bother me, as long as I'd rather have that than an air bubble in the middle. The next question here is saying, maybe the critters, or not really a question, but maybe the critters stay off your pillows because you have a cat. We had talked about pillows and critters on the porch in the last Q&A. And, that could well be because we have Twinkle, not just a cat, but he is like our guard dog. Like, he'll actually chase raccoons off of our porch, and he's a fighter. Like, right now he's actually not doing so well again. He gets into these fights, cat fights, and then he'll come and be lame for days and won't eat well, and his ears are split, and he's quite how do you just not, I'm not going to pen him inside. He loves the outside, and how do you keep them from doing that? And I feel like he's too old, like he's kind of older already, and he shouldn't be doing those things. Just his nature, I guess. And the bottom comment here is, she says, bottom comment, no negatives. I am pleased you do not include makeup, hair, etc. in your videos. Yeah, that's not really my thing. So that concludes all of the questions for today. Thanks for hanging out with me here in my shed. I hope your day is going great, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.